The afternoon sun burned hot over the small suburban street when Officer Daniels slammed the woman against her car. Her grocery bag spilled to the pavement. Oranges rolled beneath his boots. "Don't move," he barked, shoving her harder as neighbors peeked through half-closed blinds. The woman's lip trembled, but her eyes, they stayed calm, burning with a quiet, dangerous dignity. "Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who is listening." Her name was Valerie Hunt, and she wasn't just another woman driving home from work. She was the newly appointed police chief, the first black woman to ever hold the position in their city. But Officer Daniels didn't know that. All he saw was color. Moments earlier, Valerie had been driving back from visiting her mother when a patrol car flashed its lights behind her. She pulled over, confused but compliant. Daniels approached aggressively, his hand already on his weapon. "License and registration," he snapped. She handed them over, her tone steady. "Of course, officer. Is there a problem?" But Daniels didn't hear respect. He heard challenge. When he saw the city emblem on her badge holder, he scoffed. "Nice toy. You pretending to be a cop now?" She tried to explain, but his anger drowned reason. "Step out of the vehicle," he ordered. And when she did, when she dared to ask why, he struck her. The slap echoed across the quiet street. A man watering his lawn froze. A child on a bicycle stopped pedaling. For one terrible second, time itself seemed to hold its breath. Valerie steadied herself, refusing to cry. "Sir," she said through gritted teeth, "you just assaulted your commanding officer." Daniels laughed, but his smile faltered when she reached slowly into her bag and pulled out her police identification. The gold badge caught the sunlight, shining like justice itself. Chief of Police, Valerie Hunt. The street fell silent. Daniel's face drained of color. You're... "Yes," she said, voice cold but composed. "Your boss." He stepped back, disbelief turning into panic. "Ma'am, I didn't know. I thought—" "You thought I didn't belong behind the wheel of a nice car?" she asked quietly. "You thought my skin told you my story." The words hit harder than any punch could. Daniel stumbled backward and, without thinking, dropped to one knee. Not in honor, but in shame. The neighbors stepped out now, whispering, filming, realizing they were witnessing something bigger than a mistake. This was a mirror held up to the system itself. Valerie didn't humiliate him. She didn't yell. She simply said, "Get up, officer. You've done enough damage today." By the time Internal Affairs arrived, the videos were already spreading online. Millions watched in disbelief. Some saw justice, others saw tragedy, but everyone saw truth. Later, in the quiet of her office, Valerie sat alone, the incident report open before her. Her reflection stared back from the computer screen. Strong, steady, but tired. She could end Daniel's career with one sentence. She could demand retribution. But her conscience asked a harder question. Would that change anything? When her deputy entered, she asked softly, "What would you do if you were me?" He hesitated. "I'd want him gone. But you've always said justice isn't revenge. It's correction." Valerie nodded slowly. "Then that's what it'll be." The next morning, Daniel stood in front of her again, this time in full uniform, eyes lowered. He'd spent the night reading the comments, seeing himself turned into the villain of every headline. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "There's no excuse." Valerie looked at him for a long time. "You don't need to apologize to me. You need to understand why what you did is part of something larger. So here's what's going to happen." She reassigned him, not to patrol, not to desk duty, but to community outreach, under her direct supervision. "For 6 months," she said, "you'll work in the same neighborhoods you used to fear. You'll serve food, walk streets, listen to stories, until you see what you refused to see yesterday." He nodded silently, shame and gratitude warring inside him. Weeks turned into months. Daniels changed. He began to listen, really listen. To children laughing in parks he once avoided, to mothers telling him they'd stopped trusting the badge. He carried that weight like armor. The day his assignment ended, he walked into Valerie's office holding a letter. It wasn't a resignation. It was a thank you. "I thought you'd destroy me," he said, "but you made me face what I'd become. You made me see the badge for what it's supposed to mean." Valerie smiled faintly. "Good, then do something with it." Outside the window, a group of kids were playing basketball. Daniels watched them and said, "I already started. I joined the youth mentorship program." She nodded, a quiet pride rising in her chest. That's what real justice looks like. Because she knew, power doesn't come from authority. It comes from the courage to transform what's broken into something better. Because justice isn't loud. It's steady, and it never stops fighting for what's right. And as the sun dipped beyond the city skyline, Valerie closed her office blinds and smiled. Somewhere deep down, she hoped the world had seen not just punishment, but progress. Because that's how change begins. One heart, one hard lesson, one act of grace at a time. If this story touched you, subscribe to Whispered Words, where every tale reminds us that courage isn't about power, it's about humanity.